Om Namah Shivaya. Thank you so much for opening our hearts to that sacred presence and that sacred love. It's such a joy and a blessing to gather today with our beloved Prem Babaji, whose name literally is the Baba, the teacher, the sharer, the bringer, the one immersed in the spiritual being of love. So simple, and yet so powerful. Raise your hand if you've ever loved anyone or anything. It could be a human, it could be your pet, it could be the tree in your backyard. It doesn't have to be romantic. Just raise your hand if you've ever deeply loved. Put down your hands and close your eyes for just a moment. And bring up that loved one in you. Not the drama of the relationship, not the story of where you are now, but just the feeling, the experience of loving them. And as you do that, just notice how your body feels, how your mind feels, how you feel in this intersection of time and space. Notice the way that love literally changes our felt sense experience in the body, in the mind, in our lives. Okay, open your eyes. Our rishis and our yogis, our sages, our mystics, knew something thousands and thousands of years ago that modern neuroscience is discovering and telling us. Love is really good for you. And we'll come into the deep spiritual aspect of it in a moment, but just on the very basics of like, I want to be healthy. I want to feel good in my body. I want to move through my world peacefully. Love actually is that not only feels good in our felt sense of like, yeah, I love being in love, feels good, but it actually changes. It changes our neurochemistry, it changes our biochemistry. Our immune systems function much, much better. Our cognition is much better. You know, a lot of times we think, oh my God, I'm so in love, I can't even think straight. But actually, research shows it's the opposite. We actually think better. We actually perform better. Cognitive tasks, all sorts of things. Good for our immunities, good for our blood pressure, good for our heart rate. These days, everyone's talking about heart rate variability as one of the greatest markers. If you pay attention to, all of the biohacking, life hacking, longevity studies, people are talking about heart rate variability as one of the key core components. Physical, basic, cardiac health. And one of the most powerful ways of actually increasing our heart rate variability, which is the direction you want it to go in, is through love. There's all kinds of research and programs. There isn't time to go into it now, and it's not the depth of where I want to go, but it's important to begin here because when we talk about love, one of the first questions that arises so frequently is like, does it matter? How important is it? Do we really need it? Why take the risk? And even if your highest goal in life is not enlightenment or awakening or nirvana or God realization, even if your highest goal is just to live however many years you've been given, healthily, peacefully, intelligently, able to be focused, not distracted, attentive, competent, efficient, effective, well, love is still the answer. The chemicals in our brain and in our body that release when we're in love are so much. It's like our bodies are created to function best in love. We know that as human bodies, we need a certain amount of oxygen, we need a certain temperature, we need all of these different markers. But it also seems as though we've been evolutionarily created to function best in love. But here's the really interesting thing. Neither the brain, nor the body, nor anything that is responding to that flood of chemistry notices, knows, or cares whether you love your child, your spouse, your dog or cat, the tree in your backyard, or God. And so, as we look at love in our lives, we have to pull it out of the story and the drama of romance, because that's a package deal. And it's beautiful. For many of us, it's our dharma. For some of us, it's not our dharma. But it's a complex package that evokes a lot in us. And I'll come to that in a moment. But before we get there, just realize we're not talking about romance. We're talking about a heart that is open to the very truth of who we are. There's a great story somebody sent me a couple weeks ago that I loved, of a woman who was at an airport to catch a flight. And she had stopped at the little food stand and bought a bag of potato chips to eat before her flight. And she sat down reading her book, waiting for the flight. And on the table, you've got the row of chairs at the airport. In between are little tables at the gates. And she starts eating potato chips while she's reading her book. And she notices that the guy next to her is also eating potato chips from the same bag. And she's like, who is this guy eating my potato chips? And so she starts to try to eat them a little quicker. right? Myth of scarcity, anybody? There's a limited number of potato chips in the world. So she starts eating them quicker. But every time she takes a potato chip, the guy next to her takes a potato chip. And suddenly she notices that she's not even able to pay attention to her book because this anger is just rising within her. And one of the things that anger does is it causes us to contract. Our vision contracts, our thoughts contract, our hearts contract, of course, but our entire focus contracts. She's no longer able to focus on anything else except this awful guy who suddenly somehow feels entitled to eat her potato chips. And the rage is building and building, and finally they get to the last potato chip. And the guy pulls the potato chip out of the bag, breaks it in half, and hands her half. And she's thinking, who is this schmuck? Like, how does he think he's entitled even the last one? Half? But she takes it. Finally, they call boarding for her plane. She gets on the plane. She sits down. The plane takes off. And a few minutes later, she opens up her bag to pull something out. And she sees her bag of potato chips. And I loved that story so much because it was such a perfect example. One moment, one situation. Sitting at a gate, waiting for an airplane, one bag of potato chips, and two diametrically opposed ways of responding to the moment. The guy whose bag it actually was, who actually owned those potato chips, was moving through the world from love. You know, there was nothing in the story insinuating that he was hoping to, date her or marry her later, but just that love in the moment. Sure, why not? My potato chips, your potato chips, we're all one, share. And she was moving through the world the way that tragically most of us move through the world, which is in contraction, mine, separation, polarization, othering, division, grabbing, grasping. And it's such a perfect example of the opportunity we have to just choose differently. You know, in the Bhagavad Gita, where Bhagwan Krishna spends the better part of 700 verses walking us through Jnana Yoga, the yoga of wisdom, Karma Yoga, the yoga of action, and Bhakti Yoga, the yoga of love and devotion. In the section on Bhakti Yoga, which he effusively urges Arjuna and urges all of us through Arjuna to walk this path. Easiest path, clearest path, doesn't require you to be a philosopher, to have a high intellect. Just requires us to live in that very truest nature of who we are, in love. In that beautiful section, Arjuna asks him, what is a lover of the divine, like someone who loves God? What does that person look like in the world? Like, how do you know if someone is really a bhakt? What are the signs? And Bhagwan Krishna gives many, many verses. But what's so amazing about them all is they don't have anything to do with religious rites or rituals. Has nothing to do with recitation of mantras or performing puja. It has to do with how we are with others. One of my favorites says, Advaishta sarva bhutanam maitra karuna evacha nirmamo nirahankara sam dukha sukhakshami. And it means the one who is a friend to all, enemy of none. The one who lives with that friendship, with that compassion, with that love for all. Sarvabhut means all beings. Not just those under your rooftop, not just those of your race or your religion or your color or your political party. Not even just those of your species, but the one who is the friend to all, compassionate to all, and the one who is the same, samdukha sukhakshami, who is balanced in both sadness and happiness, in that pain and that pleasure, that loss and that gain, who doesn't go up and down with the waves of life, but the one who is anchored, grounded in something much deeper. That's how to know that it's the real devotee, the real lover of the divine. The dilemma for most of us, or so many of us, is love is scary. Raise your hand if you've ever been hurt, betrayed, cheated, lost in some way, on purpose or by accident, by a loved one. They've harmed you, they've left you, they've betrayed you, they've cheated you. So we're pretty unanimous there as well. And the dilemma for us becomes, we think that in self-protection, to not love is safe. But it's like saying, I breathed some bad air that made me cough, made my eyes water. Maybe I walked into a tear gas situation. Therefore, I'm going to swear off breathing. No oxygen for me, thanks. Or that I got food poisoning. Spent days in bed. Therefore, I'm going to swear off eating. We can't. To swear off breathing, to swear off eating is to swear off living. And the same thing is true with love. To build walls around ourselves in an effort to protect us starves us, suffocates us. So we have to open our hearts in love. And again, doesn't mean you go back to eat at the same restaurant. Doesn't mean you walk through tear gas again. But it means we recognize and realize that just because I had that experience and that experience was painful, that number one, there was a critical, dharmic, karmic life lesson in it. That through that pain, and I speak of this as someone who has experienced this, severe pain, betrayal, harm, abuse by a loved one. So I'm not speaking this from sitting, as Pujya Swamiji says, on cloud 9, but from right here, in this this world of our identifications that we live in, this world of our karmic package. And yet, to shut down our hearts forever, to think that we are somehow helping ourselves to not open in love, to not trust, is literally cutting ourselves off from life itself. Yoga requires that we open. I mean, imagine that you do a yoga practice and you walk in and you say, yeah, I'll do all the asanas except the back bends. No open chest for me. I'll do everything you say, but I just won't extend my arms. I won't open my chest. Give me all the forward bends you want, but no back bends. I'd be surprised if any yoga teacher would agree to take you on. Because they'd say, you can't do that. Yoga's balance. Front to back, left to right. Extending, contracting. We stand in an asana. And the same attention we pay to one side, we have to pay to the other. You stand in warrior pose in Virabhadrasana, and the yoga teacher says, stretch the fingers out, stretch them out, and you do. And then the teacher says, but don't forget the back arm. Don't forget the heel of the back leg. You stretch too far this way, you're going to fall over. It's got to be balanced. The yoga of love requires us to open, to open, to open. It's what we are here on planet Earth for. Open to that presence of love. And again, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter who or what you love. I have had some of my most ecstatic moments hugging trees, watching the stars in the night sky, making goo-goo eyes at babies, random babies, not even babies I know, in strollers and checkout lines of grocery stores, or checking in for a flight or whatever. Just love. It's what we need in our world today. And this is, for me, the final point that I'll share with you today, but it may be the most important point. On our first day of Yoga Festival, I had the beautiful joy and blessing of sitting here surrounded by many of our other yogacharyas, and we spoke about yoga of action, karma yoga, and how it is needed in our world today. With the war, with the violence, with the harm. Yoga, spirituality requires us to act. There is no spiritual teaching or tradition worth its salt today that says, you find your peace, let them all suffer and die. You find your peace in the midst of the chaos, that's all you have to do, let them all live in hell. We find our peace so that we can be instruments, agents, vehicles, vessels, channels of bringing peace in the world. And love is the critical component of that. Because on that day, I had everybody raise their hand if they were feeling anger or despair in what's happening in the world. 100%. We're all angry. We're heartbroken at what we see in the world. Anger is the catalyst. Anger reminds us something is wrong. Anger is what a mother feels when she sees a bully attacking her child. But while the anger wakes us up and reminds us and activates us, we cannot act in anger. If we act in anger, we become part of the problem. then we just spread othering and separation and division and polarization. The only action that is efficient and effective and powerful must be rooted in love. And so we find love in our hearts and our lives for the children who are suffering around the world, suffering in war, suffering hunger, suffering poverty, suffering oppression, suffering exploitation, suffering the loss of their parents, suffering in detention camps, suffering wherever they are, in whatever way they are suffering. We find love in our hearts for the trees, for the indigenous communities living amidst the trees, for all of the species on this planet living in the trees. And we allow that love to be the juice, the essence, the ras of our action. So allow yourself to find that love, to open your hearts so that we can live our lives in the fullest, truest way that our Dharma calls upon us, and so that we can bring that healing, that help, that peace into the world today. It's a beautiful blessing to request our Pujya Prem Babaji to share with us from his beautiful lifetime of teaching, sharing, guiding the path of love for ourselves, for our communities, and for our world today. Thank you for being here, and we love you so much.
Gurur Brahma, Gurur Vishnu, Gurur Devo Maheshwara, Gurur Sakshat Param Brahma, Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha, Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Abençoado seja cada de vocês.
Blessed be each one of you.
Abençoado seja sempre o momento do nosso encontro.
Blessed always be the moment we meet.
Que o amor e a sabedoria siga iluminando os passos da sua jornada.
May love and wisdom continue illuminating the steps of your journey.
É sempre uma grande honra estar aqui no Parmarth Niketan.
It is always a great honor to be here at Parmarth Niketan,
especialmente ao lado do Pujya Sadhvi Bhagawati,
especially next to Pujya Sadhvi Bhagawati.
Esse ser tão especial por onde flui a sabedoria de uma forma tão doce e compassiva.
This being that is so special, through whom wisdom flows in such a sweet and compassive way.
Minhas reverências.
My reverences.
E é também Uma honra estar aqui com vocês.
And it is also an honor to be here with you,
Buscadores sinceros da verdade,
sincere seekers of truth,
que fizeram esforços para chegar até aqui,
who made efforts to arrive here.
Alguns vieram com a intenção de aprender mais sobre yoga,
Some came with the intention of learning more about yoga,
para se aperfeiçoar na metodologia,
to perfect themselves in the methodology,
alguns para si mesmo, outros para oferecer isso para o mundo.
some for themselves, others to offer this to the world.
Mas eu sinto que para além do aprendizado do yoga,
But I feel that beyond the learning of yoga,
você está aqui atendendo a um chamado.
you are here attending to a call
Um chamado do amor.
of love.
Esse amor que é a seiva da vida.
This love that is the sap of life.
Esse amor que é aquilo que nos une.
This love which is that which binds us,
Que é a causa da vida em si mesmo.
that is the cause of life in itself,
E que aqui chamamos de Dharma.
and that here we call Dharma.
O Dharma te chamou.
Dharma has called.
O Dharma é a razão da vida.
Dharma is the reason for life.
Yoga é uma das pétalas desta flor que chamamos de Sanatana Dharma.
Yoga is one of the petals of this flower that we call Sanatana Dharma,
O conhecimento eterno, universal,
the eternal, universal knowledge
que nos mostra o caminho de volta para o nosso verdadeiro lar.
that shows us the path back to our true home,
Que mostra o caminho da iluminação espiritual.
that shows the path of spiritual enlightenment.
Esse Dharma foi codificado através das Shastras,
This Dharma was codified through the Shastras,
que são como um manual, um guia para nos orientar nesse caminho de volta para casa.
that are like a manual, a guide to give us orientation on this path back home.
Então, alguns chegaram aqui sem nem mesmo saber por que vieram.
So some people arrived here without even knowing why it is that they came.
Por trás da necessidade de conhecer mais sobre o yoga,
Behind the need to know more about yoga
está o chamado do Dharma.
is the call of Dharma.
Está o chamado para você voltar para casa.
Is the call for you to return home.
Para você reconhecer esta fonte eterna de amor,
For you to recognize this eternal source of love,
que é a razão de estarmos aqui.
which is the reason for us to be here.
Um dos presentes codificados da Dharma é a Bhagavad Gita.
One of the presents codified by Dharma is the Bhagavad Gita,
que nos mostra o dilema de Arjuna,
that shows us Arjuna's dilemma,
que se encontra perdido,
who finds himself lost,
confuso,
confused,
sem saber o que é certo, o que é errado,
without knowing what is right and what is wrong,
sem saber o que fazer ou como fazer.
without knowing what to do or how to do it.
Que é como muitos de nós se encontram nesse momento.
Which is how many of us find themselves in this moment.
Ali, na Bhagavad Gita, está uma representação muito clara da alma humana em desenvolvimento nesse planeta.
There in the Bhagavad Gita is a very clear depiction of the human soul in development on this planet,
Buscando o caminho.
seeking the path.
E ele encontra no Senhor Krishna a orientação.
And he finds in Lord Krishna the orientation
Para ele conseguir atravessar as turbulências geradas pela sua confusão.
so that he can cross the turbulence generated by his confusion.
Ele recebe a guiança para realizar a batalha interior.
He receives the guidance so that he will be able to fight the inner battle,
Para tomar consciência da sua escuridão.
to become aware of his own darkness.
E quando ele começa a tomar consciência da sua escuridão,
And when he begins to become aware of his own darkness,
ele começa a se iluminar.
he begins to illuminate himself.
Ele começa a se lembrar de quem é ele.
He begins to remember who he is
E se lembrar do que ele veio fazer aqui.
and remember what it is that he came here to do.
Esse conflito, ele está presente em toda a alma humana.
This conflict is present in every human soul.
Mas chega um momento em que somos chamados a iluminar esse conflito.
But there comes a moment in which we are called to illuminate this conflict
De maneira que possamos transcendê-lo.
so that we can transcend it,
De maneira que possamos ser guiados pelo Dharma.
so that we can be guided by Dharma,
De maneira que possamos a fazer com que o nosso ego aprenda a se mover nesse mundo de acordo com o Dharma.
so that we can have our ego move around this world according to Dharma,
Fazer com que as nossas emoções se expressem alinhadas ao Dharma.
to make our emotions express themselves in a way that is aligned with Dharma.
E assim nós vamos evitar criar mais maus karmas.
And in this way, we will avoid creating more karmas.
E vamos nos libertando das teias dos karmas passados.
And we gradually become free from the webs of past karmas.
E vamos encontrando o caminho da liberdade.
And so we find the way to freedom,
Para que esse presente se revele,
so that this gift may be revealed.
se faz necessário receber de um guru vinculado a um parampará,
It is necessary to receive from a guru who is connected to a parampara,
que vai, pouco a pouco, te mostrando o que está contido nas entrelinhas desses textos sagrados.
Who little by little starts showing you what is contained in between the lines of these sacred texts.
E que vai aos poucos te ajudando a transcender o sofrimento.
And that little by little starts helping you transcend suffering.
E parte do processo de transcendência do sofrimento
And part of the process of transcendence of the suffering
é compreender o papel do sofrimento.
is comprehending the role of suffering.
Ninguém desperta dentro de uma zona de conforto.
Nobody awakens from within a comfort zone.
O sofrimento está a serviço de criar a fricção necessária para que você possa despertar.
Suffering is in the service of creating the necessary friction so that you will awaken.
E quando você desperta, você pode transcender
And when
o
you
sofrimento.
awaken, you can transcend the suffering.
E despertar significa você reconhecer a sua verdadeira natureza.
And awakening means for you to recognize your true nature.
Significa você se tornar consciente do ser que está para além da ideia do eu.
It means for you to become aware of the self that lies beyond the idea of me.
E este ser que esparge o perfume do amor incondicional.
And it is this self that spreads the perfume of unconditional love.
É esse ser que naturalmente cria união.
It is this self that naturally creates union.
Como disse Sadhvi, estamos vivendo um momento tão delicado no mundo.
As Sadhvi said, we are living such a delicate moment in the world,
Aonde as guerras se acirram,
where wars are ever increasing,
as polarizações se intensificam.
polarizations become more intense.
E tudo isso como um sintoma, desse esquecimento de si mesmo.
And all of this is a symptom of this forgetfulness of oneself.
Como um sintoma da inconsciência a respeito da sua verdadeira natureza.
A symptom of the lack of awareness of your true nature.
Sintoma da inconsciência sobre o Dharma.
And it becomes an unconsciousness about Dharma.
Mas, ao mesmo tempo, um grupo de almas está ouvindo o chamado do Dharma.
But at the same time, there's a group of souls that is hearing the call of Dharma.
Por exemplo, vocês aqui.
For example, you here.
Estão podendo, nesse momento, atender esse chamado.
You are able to, in this moment, answer this call.
Porque o Dharma quer trabalhar através de você.
Because Dharma wishes to work through you.
O Dharma quer te fazer um instrumento dele.
Dharma wishes to make you an instrument of it.
Quer utilizar os seus dons,
It wishes to utilize your gifts,
seus talentos,
your talents,
para espargir o perfume do amor,
to spread the perfume of love,
do bem,
of goodness,
da não violência,
of nonviolence,
o perfume da paz.
the perfume of peace.
Importante que você possa reconhecer que você foi chamado para estar aqui.
It's important for you to be able to recognize that you've been called to be here.
E que o Dharma tem um plano para você.
And the Dharma has a plan for you.
Eu cheguei aqui, eu fazia a mínima ideia do que eu ia falar para você.
When I arrived here, I didn't have the slightest idea of what I was going to say to you.
Como não falo muito bem o inglês, falo pouquinho,
As I don't speak English very well, I speak just a little.
estava aqui me esforçando para entender a mensagem da Sadhvi.
I was here making an effort to understand Sadhvi's message.
Mas na verdade, para além das palavras, eu senti a energia dela passando por mim.
But actually, beyond words, I could feel her energy passing through me.
E que se manifestou na forma dessas palavras.
And that manifested in the form of these words.
Você veio aqui chamado pelo Dharma.
You came here called by Dharma.
Porque o Dharma tem um plano para você.
Because Dharma has a plan for you.
É importante que você se abra para ouvir.
And it's important you open yourself up to hear it.
Essa direção está sendo dada.
This direction is being given.
O download está acontecendo.
The download is happening.
Está acontecendo aqui agora,
It's happening here now.
quando você está fazendo sua prática de yoga,
When you are doing your yoga practice.
quando você está ali participando do arati,
When you're participating in the arati.
quando você está silenciosamente contemplando a Ganga correr.
When you are silently contemplating the Ganga flowing.
E aí, sugiro que você possa fazer uma oração.
And then I suggest you may say a prayer.
Uma oração para o Dharma,
A prayer to Dharma
que também pode ser traduzido como a inteligência suprema,
that can also be translated as supreme intelligence,
com o poder que sustenta a vida nesse plano,
as a power that sustains life on this realm,
que é o início e o fim de tudo.
that is the beginning and the end of everything.
Então, em algum momento, quietinho, você diz assim:
So in some moment when you're very quiet and still, you say like this,
ok, você me trouxe até aqui,
okay, so you have brought me here.
atendi o seu chamado,
I have answered your call.
e agora?
What now?
O que você quer de mim?
What do you want from me?
Como é que eu posso servi-lo?
How can I serve you?
Como eu posso servi-lo?
How can I serve you?
O que você quer de mim?
What do you want from me?
É um momento muito importante,
This is a very important moment
porque pode significar uma transformação radical na sua vida.
because it can mean a radical transformation of your life.
Talvez você possa até continuar fazendo aquilo que você já vinha fazendo,
Perhaps you may even continue doing that which you were already doing,
mas a partir de um lugar completamente novo.
but from a place that is completely new.
Porque você vai servir com a clareza de ser um canal do Dharma.
Because you will serve with the clarity of being a channel of Dharma.
E com isso, você protege o Dharma.
And with this, you protect Dharma.
E quando você protege o Dharma te protege.
And when you protect Dharma, Dharma protects you.
Quando você se aproxima do Dharma, o Dharma se revela para você.
When you come closer to Dharma, Dharma reveals itself to you.
Ele vai te chamando para perto.
And so it starts calling you to come nearer.
e vai revelando seus mistérios.
And it starts revealing its mysteries.
Não importa se chega através da Bhagavad Gita,
No matter if it arrives through the Bhagavad Gita,
dos Yoga Sutras,
through the Yoga Sutras,
Brahma Sutras,
Brahma Sutras,
da palavra de uma mestra, da palavra de um mestre,
through the words that come from a master,
porque na verdade é uma coisa só,
because actually that is one and the same,
porque a verdade é uma só,
because the truth is just one.
mas a verdade ela vai se revelando de acordo com a sua maturidade, de acordo com a sua entrega para ela.
But truth gradually reveals itself according to your maturity, according to your surrender to it.
Quanto mais você se entrega, mais você recebe.
The more you surrender, the more you receive.
Quanto mais você tem a clareza, eu estou aqui realmente para despertar espiritualmente.
The more you have the clarity, I am here to awaken spiritually.
Estou aqui para servir ao grande mistério.
I am here to serve the great mystery.
Assim o Dharma vai se revelando para você.
That way, Dharma starts revealing itself to you.
Vai abrindo o seu coração. Vai abrindo o seu coração.
It gradually opens your heart.
E você vai tendo acesso aos mistérios do seu coração.
And you start having access to the mysteries of your heart.
Que é sinônimo do mistério da vida.
Which is synonymous with the mystery of life.
O coração conhece o caminho.
The heart knows the path.
Me lembro quando eu cheguei aqui em 1999.
I remember when I arrived here in 1999.
Eu estava completamente perdido.
And I was completely lost.
Estava vivendo uma grande crise existencial.
I was going through a great existential crisis.
Atravessando vale de ceticismo.
Crossing a valley of skepticism.
E me valendo de fiozinho de fé que ainda restava.
And making use of a tiny thread of faith that was still left to me.
Eu fiz uma oração sincera para o universo.
I said a sincere prayer to the universe.
Eu falei, se existe uma verdade nesse mundo que está além das criações da minha mente, por favor, se manifesta, porque eu cheguei no fim da linha.
I said, if there is a truth in this world that is beyond the creations of my mind, please manifest yourself, because I have reached the end of the line.
Não tem para onde ir.
I have nowhere to go.
Aí entrei em meditação.
And then I entered into meditation.
E tive uma visão de velho de longas barbas brancas que estava aqui nos Himalaias.
And I had a vision of an old man that had long white beard, and he was here in the Himalayas.
E ele falou, venha para a Índia, para Rishikesh.
And he said, come to India, to Rishikesh.
Nessa época, não tinha internet, não tinha rede social. Foi em 99.
At this time, there was no internet, there was no social media. It was 1999.
O mesmo da minha visão estava lá.
The same one from my vision was there.
E disse, eu estava te esperando.
And he said, I was waiting for you.
A luz se acendeu.
And the light came on.
Nessa hora eu caí de joelhos nos pés dele.
In that moment, I fell to my knees at his feet.
Aí eu falei, uau, isso existe.
And then I said, wow, this exists.
Isso existe.
This exists.
E comecei meu caminho.
And I started my path.
Aí, ano após ano, fui me aproximando do Dharma.
And then year after year, I came closer to Dharma.
E quando participo de um evento como esse e vejo tanta gente sendo chamado pelo Dharma, meu coração se enche de alegria.
And when I participate in an event like this one, and I see so many people being called by Dharma, my heart is filled with joy.
Quando eu olho para fora e vejo essas guerras e todas essas confusões, meu coração entristece.
When I look outside and I see all of these wars and all of these confusions, my heart becomes sad.
Mas quando eu venho aqui e olho para vocês, aqui meu coração se enche de alegria.
But when I come here and I look at you, my heart is filled with joy.
Porque eu vejo almas atendendo o chamado do Dharma.
Because I see souls attending to the call of Dharma.
E comprometidos em revelar o amor divino.
And committed to revealing divine love.
Eu sinto que é suficiente,
I feel that it's enough
porque queremos dar um tempo para algumas perguntas, caso você queira fazê-las.
because we wish to have some time for some questions in case you would like to ask something,
Ou para mim, ou para a Sadhvi.
either to me or to Sadhvi.
E é só levantar a mão e fazer a pergunta.
You just raise your hand and ask the question.
I hope, cordless mic, hey up and Vaspia. So raise your hand and our sweet young Rishi Kumars will rush to you with a cordless mic. Maybe you should actually stand as well, just so that it's easier for them to see you. Yeah, you in the back, just आपको दे दीजिएगा पीछे. And just if you can share your name and share where you're from, and then share your question.
Namaste. Saludos de Gran Bretaña. Soy de Inglaterra. I'm English. And my question is, este señor con barba blanca estaba tú mismo? Was the man with the white beard yourself? You found yourself?
Thank you for your question. Obrigado pela sua pergunta. Naquele primeiro momento, eu não pude ver isso.
In that first moment, I was not able to see this.
Foi uma longa jornada que durou aproximadamente 3 anos.
It was a long journey that lasted for approximately 3 years.
Altos e baixos.
Ups and downs.
Me lembrava e me esquecia.
I remembered myself and then I forgot.
Subia e descia.
I went up and down.
Até que chegou um momento que eu comecei a ter vislumbres de samadhi.
Until there came a moment when I started having glimpses of samadhi.
Entrava no céu
I would enter into heaven
e voltava para o inferno.
and then I would return to hell,
O que foi me angustiando muito mais.
which started anguishing me much more.
Mesmo que eu tivesse encontrado o Maharaj,
Even though I had found Maharaji,
mas eu não estava suportando, eu não saber o caminho para sustentar o Samadhi.
but I couldn't bear not being able to know the path to sustain the Samadhi.
E aí, no momento de angústia, eu me sentei aqui na beira da Ganga.
And then in a moment of anguish, I sat here at the banks of Ganga,
Eu fiz novamente uma oração sincera.
and again I made a sincere prayer.
Nasceu de mim na forma de uma canção.
It was born from me in the form of a song.
Pedido agora eu faço para eu poder renascer.
A request now I make so that I can be reborn.
E acordar realizado bem juntinho do poder.
And awaken, realized, very close to power.
Mãe divina e soberana,
Divine and sovereign mother,
vós que tem todo o poder,
you who have all the power,
ilumina minha vida.
illuminate my life.
Vou eterno agradecer.
I'll be forever thankful.
Aí eu ouvi a Ganga falar dentro de mim.
And then I heard Ganga say inside of me,
Veja como sou, estou sempre fluindo, a nada me apego.
look how I am. I am always flowing. I attach myself to nothing.
Nessa hora entrei em Samadhi de novo.
In that moment I entered into Samadhi again.
E aí quando fui saindo do Samadhi, eu realizei, eu percebi que tinham dois dentro de mim.
And when I started coming out of Samadhi, I realized, I noticed that there were two inside of me.
Um era verdadeiro e outro era falso.
One was true and the other one was false.
Nessa hora eu dei uma gargalhada, achei o caminho.
In that moment, I gave out a big laugh and said, I found the path.
Aí fui para o quarto do Maharaj,
And then I went to Maharaj's room,
ele estava gargalhando também.
and he was laughing as well.
Ele estava vendo tudo.
He was seeing everything.
Aí ele falou, você é um guru.
And then he said, you are a guru.
E como guru, você está livre para ensinar como você quiser.
And as a guru, you are free to teach as you wish.
Eu só te peço uma coisa,
I only ask one thing of you,
que conduza todos a Deus.
that you conduct everyone to God.
E nesse momento, aí sim, eu pude me reconhecer no Maharaj.
And in that moment, then I was able to recognize myself in Maharaji.
E aí ele me deu esse nome de Prem Baba.
And then he gave me this name of Prem Baba.
Namaste. My name is Rishi and I'm from India and I live in Rishikesh. I have a small question. I feel like I'm stuck between societal obligation and spiritual pursuits. I feel I'm drained by commercial influences. And how can I find my spiritual way without the noise? Leaving everything seems unreal to me, especially to my mind, but my heart knows that's the only thing for real. Thank you.
This is the situation of all of us in today's world. We have obligations, and we have this spiritual path that, whether we know it or don't know it, it's pulling us. Some of us are very conscious of it, others are not conscious of it. But ultimately, that being our highest truth, it's calling us. And this world is getting more and more distracting. But the Bhagavad Gita, from which both Prem Babaji and I quoted and shared different aspects in our opening sharings, is a 700-verse treatise on exactly what you're asking. You don't have to study every scripture of the world. If you literally just look at the Bhagavad Gita, and even if you don't take all 700 verses, sit for meditation and then open it. Wherever you find is going to be a verse exactly on the question that you've asked, because that's exactly what the teaching is. In the beginning of the Gita, Arjuna says, forget it. I don't want to fight this war. Forget it. I won't be a king. I won't have land. I won't do this. It's okay. I'll go meditate in a cave. No problem. Let them have the land. Let them have the kingdom. Let them have the power. And Krishna, the embodiment of the divine there on earth, says to him, not so fast. You will stay right here. You will stand up. You will become this king. You will rule this kingdom. No running away from this into the caves for you. And it is in many ways this incredible scripture that can be summed up in really 2 words. Yes and. Yes and. Yes, you are the warrior. You are the leader of this clan, this family who will lead the kingdom with your brothers. And don't get lost in that, because actually, you're the soul. You never are born, you never change, you never die. You are that which cannot be cut by knives, wet with water, burned by fire, dried by the wind. And better stand up. Get your bow and arrow ready, they're coming. Do it with full sincerity. Not half a leg here, half a leg there. Full sincerity, full commitment. Steadfastness means don't get distracted. Means put down your social media for a moment. In Arjuna's case, it was just the mind. In our case, it's the mind fueled by our devices. But the teaching is exactly the same. Free yourself of it so that without distraction, you fulfill that dharma every minute, every moment through the action. Because Arjuna says, forget it. I don't want to act. I don't want to get the repercussions of this action. Then I have to keep coming back over and over again. And Bhagavan Krishna says, even if you run off to the mountains, to the caves, you're still acting. Not doing what you are put here on earth to do is also an action. It's just an act of omission rather than an act of commission. But do not think that the answer is not acting, because that's also action. So stand up right here. Use your yoga. Use your meditation. Use your swadhyaya. Use your spiritual practices to clear the mind of the distraction. Of course, you're being pulled by commercial forces. Welcome to the human package deal. 2026. Here we are. It's like saying, I can't achieve enlightenment, it's raining today. welcome to the weather. I can't achieve enlightenment, it's climate change. Welcome to the climate. Welcome to planet Earth, right here, right now. Can't achieve enlightenment. My neighbor's dog is barking. Whether it's your phone beeping or buzzing or blinking, or the neighbor's dog barking, or the internal pulls of lust or greed or distraction or ignorance. Welcome to the package deal of human life. It's also yes and, because it is only in this human birth, is what it is said in our Shastras, our scriptures, that only the human birth is the one where we can actually attain enlightenment, because it is the only species that is able to be aware of being aware, conscious of being conscious. And so it's only humans, it's said, who can actually say and know, I am not this body. I am not this thought. Yes, you've been blessed with this human birth, and welcome to a very thick and advanced cerebral cortex that gets pulled every second by all the stimuli in the world around you. You're angry, you're greedy, you're sexually aroused, you're hungry, you're thirsty, you're distracted. Yeah, you're human. Here you are. And it is exactly for you that these teachings have been given. Use the power of discrimination, the power of viveka, the power of yoga, of meditation, of spiritual practice, to free your mind of those distractions. It's like saying, I'm on my way to a city I don't want to go to. Well, you're the one who got on the bus. You don't want to go there? Get off the bus. We blame the bus driver, we blame the bus, we blame the devices, we blame the social media. But we're the one who keeps getting on. Get off the bus, get off the train, get off whatever vehicle it is that is taking you in a direction you don't want to go. Use your free will. It's why we've been given it. Harness that power. And recognize and realize, as a rishi, this was not random that you were given the name rishi. I wish we all had been given the name rishi so that we could remember, oh yeah, I'm the rishi. And find that dharma that he's been speaking about so beautifully. Find the dharma. Live the dharma. The path has been given. But we've got to align our free will, our vivek, our power of discrimination, our buddhi, our intellect, our shuddhi, our purity. Align that with where you want to go. Otherwise, we become like a generation of people sitting on buses and trains, going places we don't want to go, going, I'm going to the wrong place. Get off. Get on a different bus. Get on a different train. We've got the power. Use it. So we're going to have another beautiful devotional song immersion by this incredible, let's just give them a very big round of applause, by the way. And as we have some music, I'll just ask you to wait 30 seconds to start, because as they play, we're going to be honoring a couple of our yogacharyas who are leaving today. We'll be doing the rest in the evening arti, but we have a few who are leaving before the arti today. So Tiffany will be telling us who they are, And then as we honor them, we will have this sacred immersion into the power of love. And let's just one more time give our beloved Prem Babaji such a big round of applause of love for being here, for sharing, and for taking us all into that ocean and river of love.
So first I'd like to call up Christopher Key Chappell, Joshi, a distinguished professor at La Jolla Marymount University and founding director of its pioneering yoga studies program, a lifelong scholar and practitioner dedicated to preserving and translating the wisdom of classical yoga traditions. Thank you so much, Christopher Chappell. There's only two. One more. Okay. And as Christopher Chappell is, yes, one big round of applause, please. Thank you. Yes. And I'd like to next bring Dr. Radhika Naragrathji up to the stage, a certified yoga teacher, author, and journalist associated with Patanjali Yoga Path for over 25 years, sharing Indian spiritual wisdom, culture, and humanitarian service through her writing, lectures, and philanthropic work. Thank you so much. Big round of applause.
Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama. Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Hare, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Hare, Hare Hare, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Hare, Hare Hare, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna